Fantastic. I have like a 1 degree separation with him. He actually, his wife, Laura, that he married and has his kids with, she actually went to school with me. We went to high school together, and her dad was my dentist. So I feel I'm one level removed in the 6 degrees of separation of Woody Harrelson. So I've always kind of loved following his career. It's been kind of fun.
That is enough to be rubbing shoulders with Hollywood A-listers. Close enough. I like it.
Well, let's talk about this new show. You've gone from acting to producing now for Gritty. How did you come across this project?
Okay, so the movie's called For Izzy, and I happened to come across it just at a regular audition. In fact, it wasn't even regular. It was during a slightly slow period, and it was a project that was super ultra low budget, and, you know, my team would have normally passed on it, but I read the script, and I thought, hang on a second, there's something in it here. So I auditioned and met the writer-director, Alex Chu, and he really liked what I did in the room and offered me the part. And I said, listen, I love your script. I get to read Hollywood scripts. I get to read, like, big network television scripts, and I just think you've written something here that I've never seen. But I want to help you tell it. Can I come on board as a producer and help you get some resources to make it as good as it can be? And he was, he was open to that idea. So we spent a year together working and honing the script to a point where we felt like we were ready to actually shoot it. And then this past early summer, we actually, we did our principal photography and we captured all the footage we needed. And now we're crowdfunding to raise funds for the editing part of the process.
Wow, that is amazing. Congratulations. Give all my listeners a little bit of background. What is For Izzy all about?
Okay, so For Izzy is a story about an unlikely friendship. We have Dee Dee, who is a photojournalist, who happens to be a lesbian, and she's also a recovering opioid addict. So she struggles with prescription pill addiction, but she's really, really intent on recovery. And during her recovery, she befriends this adult autistic woman, Laura. It's an unlikely friendship, and this whole melding of two very different worlds creates like a wonderful platform for second chances. There's also a little bit of an older age romance story between the two characters' single parents. And there's a bit of animation in it. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, and also Dee Dee is a photojournalist, so there's a lot of multimedia elements in the film. So it's a real concoction of wonderful ideas and novel characters.
Well, that's one of the things I loved about it, too, is like you said, it does have that multi-dimensional feel. It's not just made on regular motion picture Hollywood cameras. You think if you guys use iPhones, you use GoPros, and you do have those animation plots, that's kind of exciting. It's kind of guerrilla filmmaking, but it really kind of sets a tone for a movie, I think.
Thanks, Guy. Well, that was kind of the challenge. So I am not a millionaire. I wish I was. And we didn't have any millionaires funding us. So we had to get creative. And I think that part of the joy of producing your own project is being able to find the creativity in telling these stories. So, for example, we have an element where our characters go to Hong Kong, but it's seen through the eyes of our autistic character. So instead of buying, 5 plane tickets to Hong Kong, we decided, hey, what if she sees the world differently anyhow? How about we explore that through the idea of animation, because she's the storyteller at that point in time. So a lot of Laura's viewpoints in the story have animation sequences as opposed to real footage, and it works.
That is so cool. The Indiegogo project is up now, and you're on a $30,000 goal, which isn't really a lot for post-production in a movie anymore.
No.
And I really wanted to play the video, but it's not coming up on my board. So I'm going to play with this while we're talking here because I want to encourage everyone, go to Indiegogo. It's real simple. Instead of looking for a long URL, just go to Indiegogo.com and look up For Izzy. But talk about the actors. You have some amazing people you're working with. Of course, Alex Chu, you talk about writer-director. You have Elizabeth Sung. You got Jennifer Sue and Jim Lau. Talk about your fellow actors.
Well, okay, so Alex Chu is a very interesting, he's the writer-director, and he actually, his very, very, very first writing, directing project was called Fortune Cookie Magic Fortune Cookie Magic Tricks. And it's basically a 10-minute short film about a father who tries to cure his son of the gay only for it to backfire. And it's hilarious. I watched it when I was kind of deciding whether to board the project or not. It has a musical sequence, a Chinese exorcism ritual, there's a martial fight scene, zombies. It's a real pastiche. But it did really well. He got it into lots of festivals like Frameline and Outfest, and some of the great LGBTQ film festivals internationally as well. So he's definitely a very brave storyteller, like willing to take on different tropes. And he worked with Jim. Jim Lau was also on that short film that I mentioned. And Jim has been in so many movies. Like I think he has like a career spanning 30 years or something in Hollywood.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then your mom was played by Elizabeth Sung. She's amazing. I've seen her in a couple of her early. She's been in some of the biggest movies out there.
Yeah, she has a very recognizable face. And, the thing I love about this particular project for her, she's a very strong woman. She often plays that stereotyped Asian dragon mother role. But in this film for Izzy, she really gets to delve into some deeper character identity. And it's a role that I've never seen her play before. It's a very nuanced, kind of heartbreaking mother role. So it was a good challenge for her, and she rose to the occasion.
And how was it working opposite Jennifer Sue? That's got to be a hard role to play. It looks amazing in the trailer.
She's incredible. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about ASD, which is the spectrum of autism, and we wanted to make sure we were being respectful and doing our proper research. So she spent months before we started shooting, meeting with people on the spectrum, talking to carers of people on the spectrum, really sort of engaging the community about the different kinds of ways that ASD presents itself, and she really crafted her character Laura with a lot of attention to detail, like the facts about what it would be like to have autism and how you would function in the world and the things that you would be troubled by and the things you would pay attention to. And I think she just did a fantastic job.
That is so cool. Now the project's been filmed, right? You finished primary filming in June, and now you're just putting the campaign together to get the editing done, right?
Yeah, so I guess lots of people who aren't in the film industry don't realize actually capturing it on camera is the easy part not the easy part. It's challenging. We did it in 18 days and pulled together a lot of favors and resources, but we also used up all of our money. So now the more costly part of it is actually getting that footage into an editing suite in front of an editor and getting color correction and sound correction and all the post-production aspects that make it look like a finished film. So that's what we're asking our community to come out for, to help us with, so that we can get it completed so we can share it with you guys.
That is so cool. I love the filmmaking process, but I think Alex even sold his car to work on this project. There's a lot of dedication and sweat put into this.
Well, he's a big Porsche fan, and he sold it and traded in for a used VW just so that he could get the funds underway for us to shoot it. So we're all very committed, and like you mentioned, all of us are professional actors who jumped on board this project for no real compensation because we believed in the story and the characters. Because, Scott, we don't see a lot of these kinds of characters in the mainstream movies, and it's a real shame because when you look around you in the world, we're so dynamic as a community, and it's about time that our mainstream films reflected that more.
Right. Well, that's what I think is so cool. You're a great ally to the community. No problem playing a lesbian role. I like that a lesbian role is included in it, but it's also really giving the Chinese and the Asian culture a great showing in a real positive role model film, because a lot of times it's not always portrayed that way, right?
Well, exactly. And I think that that's something that's interesting too, because, you can get really particular about the minority boxes or the diversity boxes, like the LGBT box. But there's a lot of cross-pollination between those minorities as well. And I think it's also particularly great that Alex himself, the writer-director, isn't isn't like, oh, he isn't gay himself, but he's really interested in telling these stories and having it be the characters who live and breathe fuller worlds than just their box that they tick, if you know what I mean. Because I've had the opportunity to play. I played a character called Sophia on an MTV show called Underemployed, and that was a whole story about coming out as a young woman. And her parents were Christian and very against it. And I was really moved and touched because the writers who wrote those episodes were actually themselves gay, so they had put a lot of personal stories into the storytelling, and that was moving in a completely different way. But I do think it's important for diversity to come from people outside those boxes who are writing for these characters too.
Exactly. That is so cool. And then, like all Indiegogo or Kickstarter programs, you guys have some great perks in there, starting from $2 all the way up. If you have $10,000 out there, we're calling on you guys. You can add a lot of fun stuff for a little $10,000. But some of these perks are fun. I'm going to personally put in my $50 this week for a hard copy, and when it comes out, I hope you'll sign it for someone that can give it away on the show. So I think that would be great.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thanks, Scott. We would love your support, and we would love to send you a hard copy. And there are some ridiculous perks in there too, because my character also likes to rap or to do urban poetry. So I think there's a perk in there where if you donate a certain amount, we will personally send you a little rap video that's tailored just for you.
Oh, there's some great perks in there, all the way from like little zombie stuff from you, and there's some fun things. So I hope all of our listeners will definitely go check it out. And like I said, it's real simple. Just go to Indiegogo.com. That's INDIEGOGO.com, just like it sounds, and just search for Izzy, because it comes up right away, and it's just going to be an amazing project for you. There's 13 days left, and you're halfway there, so I think it's going to be a very successful program for you, Michelle.
Oh, you're such a champion, Scott. I really appreciate it. And actually, there's another URL that might be easier for your listeners out there. It's just www.forizzy.com, and that will take you straight to the Indiegogo page. Or you can go to www.forizzy.com/blog, and you'll see some wonderful blogging from our writer-director that gives you all the juicy background story to what we're doing if you want to follow along.
That is awesome. That's much easier to get to. I like that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And what other projects do you have coming up?
Well,
I'm sure this is taking up a lot of your time, but what do you have coming up down the line here?
Well, this might sound like a silly project, but I'm currently trying to find a dress for the Emmys because I'm 7.5 months pregnant right now, and that is a project.
I didn't know that. Congratulations! Oh my goodness!
Thank you.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
7.5 months.
Yeah.
Wow,
so there's
cool.
two of us to dress for the carpet, and that has become a bit of a full-time project. But hopefully, baby's due before the end of the year, and then so next year we'll be back on track with getting into projects. But I do have a couple of web series coming out. I shot some pilots for them, and I have another feature film called Fallen Stars that will be doing a limited theatrical release. And that comes out next year. I play a very, very socially awkward writer.
That's amazing. Cool deal. Hey, I got to ask you as a side, because I know some of my listeners, especially our lady listeners, would like to enjoy. You were on the last couple episodes of Xena Warrior Princess. Were they in on the running joke how popular it was with the entire lesbian community at the time when you guys were filming?
Oh my goodness.
Was it kind of an inside joke or not really?
It wasn't a joke. They took it very seriously. I mean, seriously, the lesbian community were the champions of that show, and that's what kept it going for the whole 8 seasons that it did. So, absolutely, we were very aware, and I actually was given the note by the director, who was also the executive producer, that there was, this kind of like undercurrent of like really strong female relationships. And Akemi, my character, was quote unquote perhaps Xena Warrior Princess's first love. I mean, she reads her a love poem that she wrote for her. There's this whole, very intimate kind of relationship between the two of them. No, it was definitely something that the executive producers of the show knew about and respected and loved.
That is awesome. I was just it's so well. I mean, still to this day, you and Lucy Lawless and the entire crew are just inspirations of everybody, because it was really the first time you saw